Well, hi. Wow. Did not intend to not post a video for over a year. My bad. I was in a mood. 2022, year of realizing things, as some would say. It's a new year. I would love to not realize anything ever again. It was a big one. It was a tough year. I'm good. It was a very eventful, hard year. I moved to a new apartment. I moved in by myself almost a year ago now, last February. I just haven't found a way to bring YouTube along with me and this channel, and I have genuinely missed it recently. I thought I would take this opportunity to talk about all of the books I read in 2022. After doing the insane 100 book challenge in 21, I chilled out a bit. I read 35 books in 2022, so much less, but like I had a great time. Was still always reading, just like really pacing myself, enjoying the books. Read some really amazing books, so I thought I'd do like a little quick review of each of them. I'm still on my freelance writing bullshit, so I just had an article published in Queerty about some queer books that are coming out in 2023 that I'm really excited about. I'm reading arcs of some of them right now. Abdi Nazemian's new YA that comes out in May is unbelievable. I hope you're doing well. I hope your reading is good. Are we still doing this? I was lucky enough to start my year with a 5-star read, Fiona and Jane by Jean Chen-Ho. This was a debut novel, so gorgeous, all about friendship told in alternating voices, short stories of a friendship over a long period of time. It was this gorgeous writing style that I have never read anything like it before. I missed this book. I decided to hurt my own feelings with Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking. This is my first Joan Didion experience. Had to take a step back after this one, but it was so glorious. I did have a wonderful time reading this though, and regret that it took me so long to get to any of her books. I took on Hanya Yanagihara's To Paradise. Controversial. I thought it was better than A Little Life. We're not gonna have that conversation right now, I'm sorry. But I thought, yeah, wow. I'm thinking about To Paradise now. Hell of a book by Jason Motz. Do yourself a favor if you have not read this one. Oh, it's one of those where you finish it and just want to start it immediately over. Don't want to say anything about it, like, my God. Took a dip into romance in February, read The Roughest Draft, struggled. I had some good romance reading experiences recently, but if I'm gonna read about a straight couple, it's really gotta be Emily Henry. I read Lie With Me, the gay teeny tiny novel that you always see in Target. And I thought it was really decent. I read Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. Epic family drama, wonderful audiobook. Excited for the Oprah-produced series adaptation. It's coming. Casey McQuiston's YA novel, I Kissed Shara Wheeler, did not disappoint, baby. Got tabs all over this book. This is elite YA. If you've read and loved any of Casey McQuiston's work, including Red, White, and Royal Blue, you gotta read this. It is so damn good. Oh my God. I look at my list and I didn't read a ton of YA this year, so this of course stands out, but genuinely it was just incredible. I read Louise Erdrich's The Sentence, and I really struggled with this book. Unfortunately, I wanted to love it a lot more than I did. I have friends who adored it. Halfway through it becomes kind of a pandemic novel, and there were pieces of the writing that I really respected and could appreciate, but it was not my speed. Molly Shannon's Hello Molly was such a delight. Did the audiobook that she narrates, of course, and one of my favorite comedy celebrity memoirs. She has this trauma, of course, that is central to her life, and her storytelling around that, how it kind of echoed throughout the rest of her life and career, was just really gorgeous. And love her. Acts of Service by Lillian Fishman. This book was my shit. Could not get enough of this writing. Very Sally Rooney, very Garth Greenwell. This scratched an itch for me in the books I had been reading. That was so nice. Loved this book so much. As you could probably tell, it's all about sex, being in your 20s, and being a mess. Abdi Nazemian's The Chandler Legacies. Like a Love Story is one of my favorite YA books of all time, so I'll read anything he does. This one was different. It was intense. It has kind of a sexual assault storyline, and was kind of a tough read, but ultimately I liked it, and I was really glad I read it. The writing is unwavering. I really enjoyed the characters too. Like, there's nothing bad to say about this book. It just leaves you with that pit in your stomach. So, had to dip a toe in the Colleen Hoover pond. I did read It Ends With Us. And yeah, it was a fast read. It was very entertaining. Obviously tackles a very sensitive subject. Miss Coho, I have now read her. I read the first 3 books by Stephen Rowley, Lily and the Octopus, The Editor, and then The Gunkle. And these are queer adult books. Mostly they are not centered around queerness, but the main characters are all gay men. The editor is kind of an ode to Jackie Kennedy. She is the editor. Stephen Rowley has another book coming out this year that I'm so excited about. His writing style is funny, very touching. So many long comedic scenes that would just be great on screen. All of these, like, I want to see the movies for. They're all really kind of feel good, but with a lot of heart. Definitely a favorite book of the year was Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. And I'm seeing now how the cover has been impacted by being on my shelf. Wow, interesting. The Apple TV show is coming out soonish with Brie Larson. Gonna be so good. Yeah, if you haven't heard of this or read it yet, I would recommend that you just go do that. This is definitely one of those like upmarket sort of book club fiction types, and I ate it up. If you like The Vanishing Half or Evelyn Hugo, like this is that direction for you. Really enjoyed The Maid by Nita Prose. I don't typically skew like in the mystery genre, but this was highly recommended and for good reason. The writing, like the voice was really amazing. The main character is neurodivergent, and that really just made the book so much better. Like it was awesome. It just was really tack sharp throughout and really a pleasure to read. Like it was great. Nina LaCour's first adult book, Yerba Buena. There were parts of this book that I was like on a high. I was soaring. Other parts, I was like missing her YA. At the end of it, it just left me with a really good feeling though. I would read every adult book she publishes from here on out. It was like sad and gorgeous and just like really bittersweet end of summer read for me. Of course, I read Ocean Vuong's Time as a Mother. Beautiful, stunning, gorgeous, amazing. Big fan. Loved On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. Loved Night Sky with Exit Wounds. This is poetry. Some moments in here that had me covered in chills. I really liked Ryan O'Connell's novel just by looking at him. If you have seen his Netflix show Special, this is very much in that vein, and the writing is very fun, very gay, very sexual, and very funny, as all of those things would be expected from Ryan O'Connell. So I definitely vote more books by him, more novels. I think this is being adapted for the screen, directed by him, question mark. Viola Davis shattered my soul with her memoir, Finding Me. She's my #1 actress. So reading her memoir, I really took my time with it, and it just highly recommend. Took a joyride with this book called The 2000s Made Me Gay by Grace Perry. This is a collection of essays all about pop culture, television, music. There's a Taylor Swift chapter in here that rocked my world. Mean Girls, Gossip Girl, Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl, like just the way kind of that millennial culture informed this writer's queerness, and it was awesome. There were a couple chapters here and there, like MTV things that I wasn't following. I'm like not quite at that millennial age. A lot of these things I was definitely like, yeah. And I thought Grace Perry was an awesome writer, and this book was so fun. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I adored Beach Read by Emily Henry in 2020, and from then on, like, I have struggled a little bit more and more with her 2 follow-ups, but not so much that I'm not gonna read Happy Place, which comes out this year, so I'm very excited for that. This one did not hit me as well as Beach Read did. Like, Beach Read is just so magic dust, and I miss it. I'm sorry. I read the 2 rom-coms by Alison Cochrane, The Charm Offensive and Kiss Her Once for Me. Both, like, absolutely 5 stars. Incredible. I think I even preferred the Christmas one, actually, Kiss Her Once for Me. I had an amazing time reading that when I was home for the holidays. But if you're in search of that next rom-com, especially a queer one, The Charm Offensive is it. I read Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. Really touching family YA, told from 3 different perspectives. Definitely an A. Really loved all the characters. The writing was kind of untouchable, and yeah. TJR hit us with Carrie Soto is Back. I read this in one day on a long flight. I don't think it really touches Evelyn Hugo or Daisy Jones. I think this one and Malibu Rising are sort of like the lower tier of the big four, but they're still the big four, like they're all still amazing. Like I'm sorry to even compare them because this was a great book in and of itself. Left like a little bit to be desired, just in the complexity and the character development, I guess. You know, like it's not still hitting me, still sitting with me the way Evelyn Hugo is, but that's such a high bar that she set for herself, so I don't know. I read Alexis Hall's Husband Material, which is the sequel to Boyfriend Material. I love Boyfriend Material so much. It was one of my favorite reads of 2020. The less said about the sequel, the better. I'm so sorry to say. I look forward to reading more from Alexis Hall, but probably not in this particular series. I'm so sorry. And in the vein of sequels, I read Less is Lost by Andrew Sean Greer, the sequel to Less, the Pulitzer Prize winning gay novel about Arthur Less, who's turning 50, and I'm a big Less apologist. You know, I did unfortunately also struggle with this sequel. So something's going on with some wonky gay sequels lately. I read Think Again by Adam Grant. Thought it was a really interesting nonfiction book about psychology and thinking again. Rethinking things, what you know about yourself, the things you do, your habits. It was slightly one note, slightly repetitive. You know, every chapter was a little bit like, think again, but there were some really great anecdotes and research in there. While I was missing it, I did give The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo a reread. I read this very slowly, like over the summer. I was marathon training, so I would put on the audiobook. So over like several months, I reread this book, and still slaps, still slaps. I read A Scatter of Light by Melinda Lowe, which is the companion to Last Night at the Telegraph Club. I enjoyed this one. I liked the main character. Seeing parallels between this one and Telegraph Club was really fun. Last Night at the Telegraph Club, if you have not read, I highly recommend that one. And I thought this held up, you know, it was really decent. Not my favorite, but worth reading if you're a fan of Telegraph Club. Like I wouldn't skip this by any means. Then I picked up Only on the Weekends by Dean Atta. Dean Atta is the author of The Black Flamingo, which was also one of my favorite reads of 2020. Written in verse, so easy to fly through despite its daunting length. And I did actually struggle with this one too. I set this down and then came back to it a couple months later, sadly. There were certain sections that I thought were really touching, but I went in thinking of The Black Flamingo and how incredible it was and how much I loved it and how powerful the storytelling was, and this sadly did not hold up. Not so much that I wouldn't read Dean Atta again, I definitely will, but it's just tough. The follow-ups are tough. This is the cursed, you know, second book. I was lucky enough, though, to end my year on a 5-star read, and that was Stay True by Hua Xu. This is a memoir, largely follows Hua's college years. He's now a writer at The New Yorker. It follows the story of this friendship he had, and sadly his friend was killed, and so deals a lot with grief and identity and music. There's a lot of music in this book. There are photos in it as well, so it's not even sentimental though in that way. It is almost closer to like the Year of Magical Thinking. All right, so that's what I read in 2022. I'm having a good year reading now so far. I just finished The Idiot. I set my Goodreads goal at 50, so I think that's pretty manageable. I thought I could get like, you know, a little more competitive with myself, but not 100. So I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts on any of the books I mentioned, what you're reading right now. My name is Tiernan. This was really fun and nice to do, so if you watched, thank you. I'll see you sometime.